Joining us is Stephen Petro. He is a columnist for USA Today. How's it going, Stephen?
Very well. I am here. Nice to be with you.
Really appreciate you coming on today. We read your article yesterday where you realized firsthand what it means to take security, I guess, more seriously. Set the scene a little bit and tell us what happened while you were on that flight last week.
Yeah, I certainly learned a couple of lessons, too, in this whole experience. So Friday night, I was flying back from Dallas to Raleigh-Durham, where I live, and I was behind on my work. I had a column due, and the story was going to be about what would happen if Apple lost its case with the FBI. What would the ramifications possibly be for ordinary Americans? And I kind of outlined some different scenarios in some of these emails that I sent to possible sources. And I closed down my computer and read for a little while. And we landed. And as I was putting my jacket on, this fellow in the row behind me came up and said, "I need to talk to you." And I was like, well, it's midnight. You know, it's kind of time for me to go home. And he said, "Well, you're a reporter, aren't you?" And I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird. Yeah, you know, I don't usually get called out that way. And he said, "Wait for me when you get off the plane." He said it with kind of an authority, and I was also a little bit curious and a little bit concerned. So I did wait. And when he got off, I didn't even have the opportunity to say, "How do you know that I'm a reporter?" when he told me or said, "You're interested in that Apple FBI story." I was like, whoa, this is like freaky. He's a mind reader. I don't know what's going on. And then he told me he had hacked into my computer on the American Airlines flight through the GoGo internet service. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know that was possible. I thought, like so many of my readers who have written me this week, that it was a secure system and that we had basic protections in place. You know, one thing I've learned through all of this is that all of those public Wi-Fi hotspots are not secure, whether it's GoGo or if you're at Starbucks. It's very easy for someone like my intimate stranger to hack in.
So you were using an Earthlink email account. Do you think that was part of the problem?
So that is another problem. So yeah, I come to this, you know, with a number of issues that I'm quickly resolving. I'm going to be ditching that Earthlink account as soon as I can, because messages are not encrypted when you send them.
That was my question. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So that's the problem. Other services tend to encrypt them, so they're much more secure. But the situation with the public Wi-Fi is you can break in and see things pretty clearly. But definitely, you know, lessons to self and lessons to listeners. Get a VPN on every device you have. That's a virtual private network. Don't use a service like GoGo. Don't use an email provider like Earthlink. Make sure that your passwords are different, and they're password managers that you can use, like Dashlane. I'm about to start using that. So there are a number of steps that we can all take to protect ourselves, because this fellow was really trying to give me a teachable lesson on how vulnerable we all are. And I think the other thing that I realized was I'm the kind of person who always said, well, I don't have anything to hide. Mm-hmm. But now I realize I have information, data that I want to protect. And I want to control who's going to have access to that kind of information.
Well, that really moved me in your article, because I am, you know, also a journalist. Like, I spend a lot of time online. I reveal a lot of personal things all the time, every day. But there's also a lot of stuff that I don't reveal, and I would like to keep it private. And you need to be reminded of that. And I mean, we should say you're not like a security reporter, as Ian is. Like, you were writing, you were doing a good service of writing about why the average person should care about this.
And it turns out this is a prime example of why. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm at heart, I'm an advice columnist, so I'm barely literate when it comes to certain things in the tech world. But that's not really an excuse. I think it's incumbent on everybody to have a basic literacy when it comes to many of these things. You know, and I guess the other point that I've come to realize is, you know, we're looking at this whole Apple FBI debate as though it's, you know, these two giants fighting, and that it's abstract, or it's about terrorism. Well, I'm not a terrorist. I'm not a political dissident. Yet I have information that I realize I want to protect. And one of the things that seems potentially likely to come out of this case is if this back door is opened, you can't close it. And so all these devices that we have, whether it's a laptop or a phone or a smart refrigerator or a smart TV, they all then have the potential to be used against us and to provide our information to others. And so I think we need a more vigorous conversation about what all this is going to mean.
One question that I have, and maybe Ian, maybe you're aware of kind of the answer on this. You said in the story that his parting words were, "This story is important," talking about the Apple FBI case. It's about everyone's privacy. It kind of makes it sound like he was a vigilante out to inform the public, but in reality, he snooped on a lot of people. He told you that you were not the only one that he was snooping on. Is what he did illegal in any way, or is it not, because it's unprotected, open communication sent out, in a public way?
It's a great question, Jason. And so I'm not a lawyer, first of all. And it's only late this afternoon that I have been told that, in fact, what he did do is illegal. It's a violation of federal statute. He seemed to, he told a colleague of mine at USA Today who talked to him that he had downloaded this Android app that allows him to hack in, to crack in. And he was kind of playing around. So he saw a number of accounts. He thought mine was particularly interesting. Gee, I'm a winner. I think because I was doing this story. But it is illegal. And, we need, it is illegal. And it's not only a sort of an ethical violation,
right.
There's a lot more to it.
Would you agree, Ian?
Yes, it's highly illegal. This is not something which you should be doing in any way, shape, or form. But on the other hand, within the security community, it's perfectly common to do this sort of thing. And I can kind of understand why he did it. If you're on a long and boring flight, you've got the tools and everyone's there, then why not have some fun and look around and see what's there? It's something which generally isn't caught, so very few people get prosecuted on. But if you are tempted, don't try this at home.
Yeah,
it's very good advice. And I watched Downton Abbey when I got bored. He could have done that too. Don't you think, Ian?
Well, yes. I mean, also, I'm one of the things that
notice I chose a British show. I
did. It's, if you like Downton Abbey, check out Upstairs Downstairs, the 1970s version that preceded it. What really concerned me about your story was when you think about the outrageous prices that GoGo charge for the internet access.
Totally.
The majority of the people on there are going to be business users with very sensitive business information. They could be working on Excel spreadsheets and sending them off. They could be working on business proposals or their business plan. And if this sort of thing is going to be picked up, then companies really need to tell their traveling staff exactly, what the risks are and how to protect themselves against it. Because at the moment, as you say, there's an awful lot of data floating out there, and all it takes is somebody with, the right bit of code or Wi-Fi pineapple, and they can get an absolute fortune's worth of data out of this.
Well, when I emailed with a GoGo representative, they were the first to admit that those types of protections don't exist and that users should not be using GoGo without a VPN. And then they said, well, it's in the terms of service. Okay, so they've covered their legal butts with that. But honestly, how many of us look at the terms of service? Yes, you could say we should, but you're right. Companies should be telling people. American Airlines should be, and I understand American is suing GoGo over other reasons, but will soon be rid of them. And I say, not soon enough, because they need to disclose this type of information.